Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Between the Posts. I'm one of the hosts, Chris Turner, and I know usually we have Jess Dombrowski on as well, but unfortunately she's busy saving the world. Fortunately she's sick. She had to go home early with a migraine, so hopefully Jess, get better out there. We need you back here. But yeah, other than that, we're just going to dive right into the thick of things and go over a little bit what's happened the past week and what to expect this upcoming weekend across the entire landscape of rugby. So here we go. So for the first story of the day, we have the upcoming Hamilton Sevens International Men's and Women's Tournament going down in the North Island of New Zealand. Shout out to everyone in the Bay of Plenty, Hamilton, Waikato area. That's a really cool place to be if you're going to be traveling down there, experience the beautiful countryside and everything it has to offer, including some of the world's best rugby players and action taking place this weekend. So for this weekend, it's going to be from January 25th to the 26th, Saturday and Sunday. And since New Zealand's actually pretty much on the exact opposite of the world, the times are actually favoring us a little bit. So a lot of those games are going to fall between 4 and 10 p.m. with maybe a 3 or 4 a.m. game trickled in there. But we'll post both schedules on either side of me for the men's and women's for you guys to check them out. Go watch it. All games will actually be broadcasted live on demand through NBC Sports Gold Rugby Pass. Again, that's NBC Sports Gold Rugby Pass. And like I mentioned, a lot of the games are going to be kicking off Friday. We have, the men's kicking off Scotland Friday, January 24th at 8:09 p.m. And then the women's will be kicking off against Russia Friday, 24th at 4:14 p.m. Both of those will be Eastern time. So make sure to set some alarms, go to the calendar, throw it aside. Make sure to get those notifications because we need to support our men's and women's in getting that gold and bringing that back home. I know I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be really excited to see what goes down. And to kind of give a little bit of pass about this New Zealand Sevens tournament, that this is going to be the 21st edition in the country's history of hosting a tournament. Usually it's in Wellington, but the past couple years it's been in the Waikato and Hamilton area. Last year's champions in the men's were Fiji, with United States coming at number 2. Good job, boys. And for the women's, actually they had what they had called a Fast Four tournament. So it was in, the same time as the men's schedules, the same venue and everything, but it was only New Zealand, France, England, and China that took place, with New Zealand the winners and France as the runners-up in the women's division. I know it's completely changed this year with the women's total bracket being present, so hopefully our women can take another gold home and, bring it home. Anyway, so I know that's going to be really fun. I'm also going to be posting the rosters on who's starting with the coaching staff on either side of me, so you can check it out with links at the bottom. Again, that's NBC Sports Gold Rugby Pass. Go download it, buy it. It's well worth the money. You have a slew of not only just USA games to watch, but also international games to see. So it's well worth the buck. I highly recommend it, and go check it out. So up next, we'll be talking about a slew of college and club topics and games and things that have been going on within the United States. But first, let's kind of backtrack and go over what happened this past weekend. First, starting with UCLA Division I men's program. They put on the Dennis Store Classic, or known as the All Cal Tournament. This was a really cool opportunity for a lot of California-based teams to establish a baseline for the season ahead, offering condensed games within 15s, and just an opportunity to clock valuable minutes and just kind of play at that competitive level before the meat of the season really kicks off. So a lot of those teams had been either men's amateur club, D1A, D1AA, D2, and a few high school games as well. So it was a lot of different levels and styles of play. And for those in attendance, I'm sure were really excited and really fortunate to see all those teams and all those, kind of crossovers go down, which was really cool. But to give a little bit of backstory about the tournament, Dennis Store, whose tenure at USA Rugby, he was their head coach, and it spanned 18-plus years at the university, compiling a 362, 46, and 2 record. That's amazing. Coaching the Bruins to 16 Southern California Division championships, along with 3 national championships. Storr went on to become the inaugural head coach of the USA Eagles national team and later served the director of UCLA's National Youth Sports Program from 1968 to 1982. Sounds like a stand-up gentleman, and of course, it aptly named after him with all that he's put toward the game, or all that he had put toward the game. The tournament consisted, like I'd mentioned, of many levels, but all collective gathering of rugby walks of life. It's a great spectacle of growing the game from the youth to adult level with maybe some opportunities for networking, recruiting, which I'm sure went down, but mostly it was just a pure celebration of the sport. Ultimately, the host, UCLA, had played Cal varsity rugby in the final match where Cal actually took the victory, 19-8. So shout out to Cal and congratulations, but also shout out to UCLA for continuing this legacy of Dennis Stroher and continually holding this tournament in his name and just growing the sport of rugby. So kudos, shout outs to the club. You guys are doing awesome things out there. So up next, we're going to stay within the D1A sphere of things and talk about this upcoming weekend. We have the new partnership with D1A and 11 Sports Network, or For the Fans, aptly named. They'll be streaming a lot of games throughout the year, and it's going to be coming right into your home, right into your family room, through the TV or through an app or through online. This is a really cool opportunity to watch the game of rugby grow within the collegiate atmosphere and especially within D1A. So this upcoming next game shown on For the Fans or 11 Sports Network will be San Diego State versus Arizona in Tucson at 5 p.m. Pacific time. This will be going down on January 25th, like I mentioned. You could watch live at 11 Sports Network, which is DirecTV channel 623. You could watch at ftfnext.com, which will put the link at the bottom there. Or you could just download the FTF Next app to watch those games. It should be a great matchup. I know these teams have had a history of rivalry of decades in the past. Moving into this weekend, it's the start of the spring season, and people are going to be ready to go out there and have some fun and really compete at a high level. So check those out. Put the links to the bottom for you guys to view. But For the Fans, shout out to them. They're growing the sport once again. Next up, this was a really cool thing that had been kind of floating around in social media that I had seen, and I was actually lucky enough to have met the Winona State women's rugby program at the Fall Champs in Charlotte, North Carolina this past year, past month or two ago. But I met the whole team. I got to meet the coaches, and they ended up winning the Division II women's fall championship. And since then, since the sport is such a big thing within the city of Winona, Minnesota, the Winona State women's rugby was honored by Mayor Mark F. Peterson of Winona, Minnesota, like I mentioned, making January 21st, 2020 Winona State Women's Rugby Day, which is incredible. That is awesome for the girls and the coaches of that team and that club, for all the hard work they put in to be, recognized by their mayor and having a day for Winona State women's rugby, which is fantastic. Like I mentioned, they had won the women's Division II championship in the fall, and this is actually their third championship in 9 years. So they have a pedigree leading up to this, and of course, well-deserved on getting an entire day in the city of Winona, Minnesota, named after the women's club team. And just shout out to all the coaches and players who put in the time and the effort to make that possible. And, it's really cool to see stuff like this happen, especially within the rugby community. Up next, we have, which is a really cool crossover game this past weekend, number 5 Navy Men's Club, which is a D1A side. They took on the Old Glory DC MLR side. Now, this was a crossover exhibition match. Nothing counted toward their seasons, but it was really inspiring to see a college team to have the bravery and the courage, to go and play a professional men's club. And that's exactly what they did. They traveled up to DC. They took them on. They, They gave everything they had, but at the end of the day, of course, Old Glory came out on top. But it was really cool to see an expansion team like Old Glory DC to invite Navy to play at their home field and to really not only kind of help Navy's talent grow and kind of understand what level they need to play at for the future or how to prepare and all that, but this is a rarity in college sports when they cross over to professional sports. I know in our D1A article that we had written last week had highlighted a few of those, but it's not often that a college team gets to play a pro team or win for that matter. But it was a really cool spectacle to see, and hopefully in the future a lot more MLR teams will take on these top club sides and really kind of grow the sport and just kind of in these mixed matches of games. So shout out to both clubs. And for those of you who would like to know the score, the halftime, it was actually really close. So DC was only winning 33-14 at the half, but in the second half they kind of took over and won 90-21. But still, shout out to Navy for putting 21 on Old Glory. I mean, that's not easy to do. And I know that the score was a little bit lopsided, but hey, this is all about growing the game. It's about getting better. And you really can't, if you're a college team, you really can't take it as an L. You really can't take it as, oh, we're down in the dumps. Like, no, we just played a professional team. How many players in the entire world could say they've done that? So shout out to Navy. And again, shout out to Old Glory. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. So for upcoming weekends, we're going to dip into a little bit more college and club and finish off a little bit USA Rugby related topics. But first, the NSCRO, which is the National Small College Organization for Rugby, they had their Women's All-Star Weekend go down in Florida, where there is a host of regions there. It was really cool to see a bunch of different teams and all-star clubs come together and just kind of showcase not only the division of NSCRO, but of women's rugby, combining that together. The championship final match was between Colonial Coast and the South All-Stars. And it was really also cool to see that they had a all-star championship team, kind of like, the top 7, so to speak, of who played. And quick shout-out to those individuals. That would be Jasmine Nash of Northern Lights, Heather Grabeau, sorry if I'm butchering that, Heather. Heather Grabeau of Great Waters, Annika Blackman of EPRU, and Lauren Nelson, Prairie States, Stephanie Franz from South, and the last two Colonial Coasts, that would be Erin Gunther and Zoe Kokonos. And Zoe was actually the championship MVP, so shout out to those 7. Well done out there in the field. I know it's pretty special to be part of an all-star club and to continue playing the sport they love at a high level. For those next crop of players that are going to be coming up in your clubs or in your all-star teams, try to be a mentor for them, help them out, help them understand what it takes to play at a high level and continually being successful at that. But again, shout out to all the all-star teams that took place in Florida this past weekend, and hopefully we could see a lot more of these tournaments surface across all divisions and all genders. So we have a really cool event going down in Austin, Texas this weekend. The local men's club, the Austin Blacks, are going to be hosting a slew of games, 6 precisely, across the entire day, which is Saturday, January 25th. And it's going to be aptly named Australia Day. Now, this is not the first Australia Day tournament or, competitive games that they've had in the past, but it seems a little bit more fitting, a little bit more appropriate because of all the horrific bushfires that have been going down in Australia. A lot of the proceeds will be going to the Red Cross Australia to help with those efforts, paying for volunteer recovery programs, emergency assistance, and all those things. So what's going to be going down this weekend in Austin is, like I had mentioned, 6 games. 3 of those games will be the men's club D1, D2, and D3 levels of the Austin All Blacks playing the Austin Huns, which is a really cool rivalry. And there's going to be a high school game taking place, a D1A collegiate game with BYU versus the University of Texas in Austin. And finally, to wrap it up on the day, the Colorado Raptors are going to be traveling to Austin, obviously, and playing the Austin Elite for that MLR match of the game. $10 per person through the gate. There's going to be food, live band, and they also mentioned dogs welcome, so shout out to those dog owners. You could bring your pooch down there for the day. And but no, this is a really cool thing that the Austin Blacks are doing. Wanted to give them a shout out for all their efforts and, attributing and giving towards the Australian Red Cross for all the bushfires that are going down. And also, it's a humongous day of rugby. You're going to be there from morning to the evening. And I know if I lived in Austin, I'd be pulling up a chair and bringing a bunch of friends because I'm not going to leave that entire day. But again, shout out to the clubs that are going to be taking place, playing each other, and of course the Blacks who will be hosting it. Kudos to you guys. That's so awesome. But anyway, check it out. We're going to put the links at the bottom for you to go to their Facebook or, go buy tickets. So please, if you're in Austin or if you're nearby, go check it out. It's going to be an awesome weekend. So before we sign off, the last topic I'd like to bring up is our National Development Tour, which will be taking place in Portland, Oregon this upcoming weekend from January 24th through the 26th. It's been put together and collaborated through many player, coaching, referee organizations and unions throughout the United States. And it's really been spearheaded by our training and education department here at USA Rugby. Big shout outs to Jamie McGregor, Kenny Forehand, and Carissa Rosas. Those guys are absolute all-stars. Appreciate every single thing that they do here, and they're absolutely wonderful people. And when you're there, and if you go, please go up to the booth, try to find them, say hey, give them a shout out. They're wonderful people. And of course, by putting all of this on in collaboration with Oregon Sports Union. For those of you who know them as ORSU, shout out to ORSU out there. So like I'd mentioned, it's going to be taking place from January 24th to the 26th at Fur Ridge campus in Portland, Oregon. And some pretty cool guest speakers that are going to be taking place will be Rob Kane, the head coach for the women's national 15s team. We also have Lee Bryant, national panel referee and world rugby educator. And one of our own, Jamie McGregor, the Senior Director of Training and Education here at USA Rugby, along with a multitude of courses that will be offered there. We'll be having coaching, referee, administrative development, level 200 and 300 coaching, level 1 referee, level 1 strength and conditioning, level 1 coach and match officials. And, it's going to be a really awesome weekend. I know they're going to have a lot more throughout the spring leading into the summer, but this Portland one, it's going to be a really awesome one to go see. The weather's obviously going to be beautiful out there. And like I'd mentioned, go say hi to Jamie, Kenny, and Carissa. They're wonderful people. They would be down for a chat, and so just go check it out. And again, we'll put the links at the bottom and all the information for you to check it out, register for yourself, and hope to see you guys there. As always, thank you so much, you guys, for joining me today. I know usually we would have Jess in, and like I'd mentioned, she was a little bit sick today and had to go home. But thank you for kind of going through just the solo attempt from me. But again, we always appreciate your viewership, your support, and please, if you have any questions, inquiries, comments, or concerns, you could email us directly at podcast@usa.rugby. That will go directly to Jess and I, and we'll be able to help point you in certain directions or answer certain questions and have answers for inquiries. Again, guys, please email us there. More than happy to reach back to you. But as always, please find your local rugby club if you're not a part of one, whether that is men's, women's, club, college, touch, beach, 15, sevens, anything. Or go coach. Go help out the community in any way possible. And I know we have lots of websites, lots of resources for you guys to go check out on USA Rugby, including rookie rugby, including training and education like we had mentioned. And again, final reminder for everyone out there, please register your club, check membership and eligibility for all your members, including coaches and players and administrators. This is immensely important with our jobs and also keeping your clubs legal to play and for the current and future seasons. And again, we'll put those links at the bottom, but it's usa.rugby/membership /eligibility. Please go check those out, you guys. And again, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Chris Turner, and we'll see you next week. Bye.